Hello everyone, so today we'll be going over the last recently used page replacement algorithm. So in all my page replacement algorithm videos, we use the exact same reference string, which is this over here, and that way it allows us to compare the performance and output of all three to determine the best one for our reference string. So following the same format as before, we have 3 frames over here in main memory, so the main memory has 3 frames, and the 4th frame is one I've put in myself. It's not part of main memory, it's just there so we can tell if it's a page fault or a page hit, which I've written over here so you guys can remember what the star is for, remember what the H is for, and H is easy because H stands for hit, so H for hit. So going ahead and starting, we will see that there's 3 open frames, so that means we can fit 3 numbers in. So we go ahead and we write the 3 numbers, just like that. And what I like to do is highlight the numbers that were first brought in. So highlight when they were last recently used in this case. And then here, write down if it was a page fault or a hit. Now, if you didn't watch the first video, which is the first in, first out page replacement algorithm video, a page fault is when well, in this case it's a number, but these are normally processors and operating systems, gets brought into main memory, which has happened here. We brought a 7 in, we brought a 2 in, we brought a 3 in. So as we can see now, we've got an issue where all 3 frames are full, and we need to swap one out, choosing the victim frame. The victim frame is the one we're going to choose to replace with the new one. So in this case, it's going to be the 7 that's going to be replaced because that was the last recently used one. So the 1, 2, 3. 7 was the one that was replaced, and 1 was the new one put into memory. And because this was the first time 1 was used, it's the last recently used time. And in our current frame, it's the first recently used, the most recently used. So, as you know, that would be a page fault. And the simplest way to check if it's a page fault is check, has a new number come into my frames? Or are all 3 frames holding the same number? If they're holding the same number as previously, then it's a page hit. If they're holding different numbers, which in this case now it's a page fault. So carrying on, the one we replace now is a 2. But we don't actually replace it because, as you can see from the 2, we already have it in memory. So that's something you might get stuck on. You might want to replace it too. But we don't do that because the 2 is already there. So what we do is we write the same thing down. But what we do is we dot out that 2, because that's not the last recently used anymore. The new 2 is the last recently used, so we're going to highlight that one. And that's the difference between the last recently used algorithm and the first in, first out. The first in, first out algorithm, that algorithm only cares about when it was first brought into the main memory. Whereas the last recently used cares about when it was last recently used and last recently brought in, which was here. So, that in this case is a hit, as you know, because it's the same as before. We haven't brought anything new into memory. So we write it as an H. So carrying on, we can go ahead and see. Sorry, I did not mean to do that. Let's get my pen back up. Carrying on, we can go ahead and see that 3 needs to be replaced, as was last recently used. So we replace that with a 5. Write a star. Start off the 3 as well as circling the new number we've brought in, which is a 5. As you can see by doing this, it does make it a lot easier to see which one needs to be replaced. Because in this case, we can see, okay, 1 was last recently used, so we'll go ahead and replace that with a 3. And then we have 3, 2, 5. Once again, a page fault. Highlighting the new number, which is 3. And dotting off the number, just so it's easy for us to visualize. And that's everything I'm doing. You don't have to do all these colors in your tests and exams. In the exams and your assignments and classes, all they care about is how many page faults and or hits you got. So the next one is requesting for a 4 to be put into main memory. We go ahead and look, okay, 3 is the most recently used, 5 is the second most recently used, and 2 is the last recently used, so we replace it with the 4. Then dot off the 2, and circle the 4. And lastly, writing if it was a hit or a fault, which in this case it was a fault. Next on is a 6. We replace the 5 because the 4 was most recently used, 3 is the second most recently used, and 5 is the last recently used, so we go ahead and replace that with a 6, and that is where they get the word last recently used for the algorithm. And this is where, as you might notice, because there are two of the same processes, or in our cases, numbers, right next to each other, we're going to see a hit coming. So, in terms of what to be replaced here, we need to first dot off 5, circle the new 6, and then we can see, okay, the 3 needs to be replaced. So we do 7, 4, 6. And as always, with the new number being replaced, circle the new number, dot out the other one. So here we come again to the same hit situation we had before. What I like to do is I like to just circle it so you as a viewer can see that, okay, we've previously had a hit here. I'll go ahead and circle that there. And you can see that, okay, the 7 is requesting itself to be put into memory. It's requesting that the 7 gets taken out of secondary storage and put into main storage, which we don't need to do because it's already in main storage, so we go ahead and we write the same one, 7, 4, 6, but this time remembering to write it as an H opposed to page fault. That's very important. You do hit instead of fault. If you accidentally write a star here, you'll get one more fault than hits, and that will render your question, or that'll render your answer wrong, so please make sure you do that, as I have found myself doing that sometimes, recording a video, and I've had to reshoot videos because I accidentally wrote a hit instead of or page fault instead of hit. So carrying on, remember that the 7 was requested again here, so we circle here to show that, okay, it was last recently requested here, and then we go and dot out the 7 as that is no more the recent one. And then we will carry on and we'll see that the 4 is the one that needs to be replaced as it's last recently used. So 7, 1, replacing the 4 with a 1, 6, doing a page fault in yellow though, so it's nice and easy to visualize. And I'm always willing to take feedback in terms of the colors they use, the way I present, the way I teach, because I'm wanting to make it a lot better for all my viewers. They understand the best. And carrying on, circling that new one we've brought in, dotting off the 4, just like that, and going back to the pen and doing the next one, which is 0, and we can easily write the first 2 because we see those don't need to be replaced. The 6 does need to be replaced, however, so we'll go ahead and circle the new 0, show that we've replaced the 6, and write down page fault. Just like that. And that is the whole algorithm, and I'll finish it. As I do in all my videos, I finish it, even though it does take a bit longer. And yeah, I suggest you go and pause it here. Pause it here, do this part. Unpause and see where you went wrong, if you did. If you didn't, congratulations, that's really good stuff. But if you did, then see where you did wrong, and then try and do it again. That's what I find is the best way to learn. So, looking at this again, 7 needs to be replaced with a 5. So 5, 1, 0. Go and make that a star again. Get the red out. Replace the 5 and dot the 7. So if we just carry that on to the end, it's quite simplistic. It gets quite easy once you get the hang of it. And I'm not going to go over it every single time. So I'm just going to quickly finish it off and do a very brief explanation. So as you can see here, 1 is the oldest, so we just write 5 and 0 and replace the 1 with a 4. Get that yellow out, do the page fault, the red out, dot the 1, and repeat this process. So, as I always seem to forget to do, circle the new fault, get the green out again, and do 5, 4, and replace the 0 with a 6. Do a star, and yes, it is a 6. Let me just extend that so you can see it as a 6. And go here, highlight the new 6, and follow the same pattern of dotting it off. Personally, I suggest you do this the first few times whilst learning. Once you get better, you probably can skip all this dotting off and doing circles, but it's very important for when you're first learning. I found myself only doing this for the video. However, do think it has allowed me to increase the speed that I work at. It has taught me a lot. But it's all up to you, I guess. However you would like to do it is the best way. As long as it's not too confusing. That's what I try and do with my videos. I try and make it as simple as you can with all the circling. I want you to be able to pause and see exactly what's going on just by the colors. I hope it does do that. So going back to the algorithm, we can see that the 4 needs to be replaced with the 3, and I've written it all in red. Let me go back and do that again. So the 4 needs to be replaced with a 3, 2, 3, 6. Highlight the star, dot off the one you've replaced, which is 4, and show that your new number in main memory is 3. And with the last 2, you might notice we'll have no possibility of having another hit. So what we do is we do a 0, so 2 here, 3, and replace the 6 with a 0, and circle the yellow, what am I saying? Make a star with yellow, and then dot off the number we've replaced, which in this situation has been 6 again, and circle the new number, which is 0, and from this we can tell that 2 gets replaced, just like that. And that is the last recently used page replacement algorithm. And in your exams they will ask you how many page faults or page hits you got. And the way to tell that in a very simple way is to essentially see how many page hits you got and minus that from the total amount of reference, well, the total length of the reference string. So I'll go ahead and I'll show you how I do that. So I like to count my reference string when I start, because you need to draw tables based on that. So I got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So with 20 we can see we have a total of 20 reference strings. That's 1 hit we have. 2 hits we have. The total is 2. So 20, actually I'll write this in green. 20 minus 2 is equal to 18 page faults. I'm not going to write the number because we already know what a star means. Just to can help get into your head that a star is page fault. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it helped you. If it did, like, subscribe, and if you have any comment, constructive criticism, or just want to say thank you, pop it in the comments. I'll reply to all the comments as much as I can. I really, really appreciate the support. Thank you so much, everyone.